to this now. France is holding this Sunday, today, the second round of voting in its parliamentary elections, which is set to reconfigure the political landscape, with opinion polls forecasting the far-right National Rally to win with the most votes, but likely fall short of a majority. Such an outcome could plunge the country into chaotic hung parliament weeks before the Paris Olympics Games, severely denting the authority of President Emmanuel Macron. Equally, if the nationalist, Eurosceptic National Rally right wing did win a majority, the pro-business Europhile president could find himself forced into difficult cohabitations. Macron stunned the country and angered many of his political allies and supporters when he called for a snap election after a humbling by the right National Rally in last month's European parliamentary vote, hoping to wrong the rights of his rivals in a legislative election. And on the 11th hour, French voters are heading to the polls in final round of voting in a snap election called for by the incumbent President Macron. Left-wing and centrist parties New Popular Front and Renaissance formed a new coalition deal to block a victory by Marine Le Pen's far-right party, the National Rally. Le Pen led the polls in the first round of voting. Polls in the second round of voting opened several hours ago. We now cross to SABC News correspondent Ross Cullen for more. Ross, thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate it. Take us through the sentiment of voters, particularly as that new deal had been struck by the New Front as well as the Renaissance Party, both on the centre and the left, hoping to block any sort of landslide victory by Marine Le Pen on the right.
Well, let me just bring you the turnout to start with. That's what we have in the latest few minutes. We've got 59% now in terms of the 5 p.m. indicator. We have a 12 p.m. indicator and a 5 p.m. indicator during the election day to see the participation rate. Although people at this polling station, they're saying they're just down in terms of the numbers compared to last Sunday. But overall, the national picture of the turnout is high, something that we haven't seen in the last 40 years. They're predicting more than 65% based on the figures that we have now for the last 3 hours of voting. And that should close at 8 p.m. local time. And then after that, we will have the first projection of the exit poll results.
Yep. Just to get a context around the sentiment and the shift between the first round of voting and the second round of voting, is there a optimism that there could be a change in the politics, both fearfully as well as excitingly?
Well, speaking to some of the voters coming out of this polling station, there does seem to be a lot of concern about worries about what could be the outcome, the ramifications this summer. Would there be a national unity government? Would there be a far-right majority, a far-right minority? Could the coalition on the left, the New Popular Front, make inroads? What would the state of Emmanuel Macron's party, Renaissance, and its allies after the vote as well? So there is concern about the direction of the National Assembly. Will France have stability at all throughout this summer? Will there be a lot of dialogue between different politicians trying to work out the way forward? Will there be a cohabitation, which is the term we use in France for when you have a president from one party and a prime minister from another party? We have had it before. It doesn't happen that frequently. The most recent time was in 1997 when Jacques Chirac called a snap election and then he lost that majority. He had to work as a conservative president with a socialist prime minister. This time, if the polls are projected to be correct, we could have a centrist president with a representative from the far right, something that we haven't seen before. That would be if cohabitation, the power sharing agreement, is the way forward for France. That would be if the National Rally secures an absolute majority in the election.
Yep, Ross, thank you so much for that. Really do appreciate it. SABC News correspondent Ross Cullen coming to us from Paris.